A few brief words on the current geopolitical situation. The fundamental fact that we need to take into account, or the two fundamental facts, are the following. First, the West, and particularly the United States, are facing a long-term decline in the 21st century. It's a very sharp decline in some respects, and the West, fact number two, is not willing to accept this decline peacefully, gracefully. It is resisting and using all methods, including force when necessary, when it deems necessary, to try to arrest the rise in a multipolar world. Now, the situation is very difficult for the world as a whole, for those countries that aspire independence and do not want to be subjected to Western colonialism in its newest forms. It's difficult, but it's far from desperate. Why? Among other reasons, because the empire, in its attempt to stem and reverse, if possible, this decline, is making some strategic mistakes, some very big ones, I would say. First of all, since Obama's time, certainly since Trump won, since Biden, the United States decided to intensify its struggle, to open a line of battle on three fronts simultaneously: Russia, China, and Iran. Now, these three fronts are not going well for the United States, for the West as a whole. Russia is prevailing on the battlefield, Iran is prevailing on the battlefield, and China is prevailing on the economic battlefield. So the United States has done something very difficult to, has initiated something that is difficult to sustain. And in doing so, it has brought together, like never before, China, Russia, and Iran. They have come closer together to face the threat that the United States poses to their existence, actually. What Russia and Iran, for example, constantly say is that for them, the war that is happening is an existential threat to them. Now, on top of all this, to help us further, the United States has initiated since last year, since Trump came back to the presidency in 2025, a movement that is really intriguing. It's trying to submit, even aggressively, its allies, its traditional allies. It's mistreating them quite a lot. Europe, for example, has been subjected to tariffs, to threats, to humiliations. Trump now and then claims he's going to recover Greenland even by force. To absorb Greenland even by force. And Europeans are, completely lost because they counted on the special long-term relationship with the United States. Now, what's the logic of that? Is there method in this madness? Difficult to say, because what is the point? If you're facing three simultaneous challenges, Russia, Iran, and China, why would you fragment the Western bloc? The fragmentation has been so intense since last year that the expression collective West is perhaps meaningless already. No? And the United States does that. Why? Well, here's what could be method in the madness. The United States is overstretched fiscally, militarily, economically. It needs to share with its allies the burdens of the hegemony. So the United States wants to share the burden without sharing the hegemony itself. I am the hegemon, I'm the boss, like Trump likes to say to his Europeans, his Western colleagues, in so many words. I'm the boss, but the boss here needs your support. You need to give us more resources for the military expenditure. You need to come up with greater self-reliance on defense. The protective umbrella of the United States needs to be financed by you as well, preferably buying equipment, military equipment in the United States. No? On the other hand, Trump has used abusively the instrument of tariff policy, import tariffs, like never before. This brings money into the coffers of the United States and allows the United States to try to rebalance its accounts, external accounts, and to promote recovery, at least in certain sectors of industry. So again, the United States does not want to give up the role of the dollar as the main currency, but it wants others to help the United States face the downsides of the exorbitant privilege, including external imbalances, fiscal imbalances, and deindustrialization due to depreciation. So we have here a very peculiar situation. The Chinese may want to look at this following a famous line attributed to Napoleon, who's supposed to have said that don't interrupt your enemies when they are making a mistake. That's what they're making, more than one mistake, in fact, in the United States. And these mistakes do not guarantee success of the multipolar world, of course, but it certainly increases the chances that the multipolar world will continue to prosper, and that the West will need to accept sooner or later a loss in relative power compared to what it had in previous centuries.